Um,
I'm going to start recording, right? So we have for posterity, etc. All right, so we're officially beginning, and today we have a nice little tight group, and Natasha has a lot to say about this chapter, which is good because I don't have that much to say about this chapter, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
anyway,
Good. Glad to
tell,
hear that, Natasha.
yeah, so
yeah.
tell us something, Natasha.
Well, first of all, I want to say that this book completely changed my life in 2019 when Evan told me to read it, and principally what it did for me at that time was it made me realize that I had not really let go of my father's version of God ever, despite at the time having um, I am 24 years sober now when it's 2025. So however much sobriety I had at that time, I thought I was close with God, and it uncovered so many layers that revealed that I had never actually believed the universe was for me, despite making a lot of progress in that direction. And it also taught me that my idea of surrender, my entire sobriety up until that point, had been skewed. And by skewed, I mean that I had somehow thought, despite all of my 12-step conditioning, and I'm talking meetings every day, doing step work countless times, and I know this is not a 12-step meeting, but I'm just relating it to my experience,
All
that
good.
I had always somehow believed that surrender was a choice,
Mm.
despite all of my, and it took this book for me to understand that we don't surrender ourselves. And I've said this so many times that, we can prepare the soil as best we can. We can fertilize the soil as best we can, but it's God that surrenders us. So it changed my life back then. And so somehow in the context of when you and Angie decided you wanted to do a workshop on this book, I like a book study on this book, I had forgotten that my favorite Penguin Random House producer had produced this book. And so I got so into it with our book study again that I finished reading it, that I finished listening to the audiobook
Uh-huh.
2 nights ago. And again, it produced a huge shift in me again. And then I heard that my favorite producer, I forgot. And so I went, and this ties into another one of your workshops, Ev. So then I went immediately, it was about 10:30 at night, and I went immediately to email her, because I like to email producers that I love when they've produced a book that changed my life.
Yeah.
And I always do. And so I went, it was about 10:30 at night, and she had already sent me an email asking me to narrate a book by another best-selling author that is right on brand about a woman who is exercising her demons and dealing with childhood demons. And exactly what we have been yeah, thank you, Angie. Exactly what we have been working on, of so hardcore. It's literally about a woman who is going into her childhood haunted house. Listen to this. Her childhood haunted house, which is what the work I've been doing in meditation, going back
Yeah.
into my childhood house, right? And in that dimension, it's a haunted house for sure. And surrendering demons, and it's even demon attacked. Okay. Which you could say metaphorically, I think PTSD, or when we're letting those parts of ourselves govern from the shadows, you could perceive that as a demon attack, really. And
Well,
also technically I
yeah.
have actually been demon attacked in like the real world too. So on so many layers, that book. But I just thought, what are, like, it was so cool to go to write an email to her. And I know this is not a marketing workshop,
No, it's fine.
just a gratitude email. It was so remarkable to go and write her a gratitude email, and she had already preemptively emailed me to ask me.
Before you emailed her, you found an email in your inbox.
It was waiting for me when I went to email her
No,
gratitude.
that's just it's too crazy. And it's
It,
like,
yeah, and the producer of this book, I mean, which, and she knows it's one of my, and you guys know it's one of my, I would put it in my top three most important books I've ever read.
yeah. I mean, I think that's what, I mean, you obviously know because you and I've worked together so long, but other people I don't think can grasp the magnitude of the miracles. And I mean, that's one of the things I love about this book.
Mm-hmm.
It's so filled with these miracles and this synchronicity. And it's like you're trying to live, in the same way, and you're experiencing these miracles of synchronicity.
Yeah. And
And the more you do it, the more this happens.
yeah. And you know, I am such a believer that everything bleeds into everything. Like everything bleeds into everything. I'm such a believer in, you know, something you talk about a lot, Ev, about that, you know, as within, so without, you know,
Absolutely, yeah.
that the story of you sitting, and this all does relate to the book, by the way, what I'm saying, like just the remarkable story of how from the outside it looked like you were just sitting on a couch for a year and did like maybe 3 marketing actions at all. But really what you were doing was completely re-landscaping your interior landscape. That's
Yeah.
really what you were doing, was totally like building a whole other tier of garden inside of your spirit, and how then that was reflected with what looked like a complete effortlessness in a whole new version of your career. And so I think what I love about this book so much is that, oh, I'm covered in goosebumps. I find that it is impossible to experience this book and not get a deep experiential understanding that everything bleeds into everything. You can prepare the soil, but God surrenders you. And that by really devoting yourself to surrender, you can have a life of your wildest dreams. And
Beyond.
what beyond, and his story, like the examples of how the things that this man went through, and how he went from being a hippie earning 5 grand a month a year to a billionaire, is just mind-boggling. But the part that's the most mind-boggling is, and again, I know this is not a financial workshop like one of your other workshops, but I can't help it, I have to tie it in to all the work that's been happening, is
No, please
that
do. I
is
mean,
that
his story is very financial.
yeah, is very financial. And you know, you always say, like, you know, one of your famous quotes to me is like, if you think that money is going to fix your financial problems, you're sorely mistaken. Like, your financial fear is not going to be fixed by finances. It might be on a superficial level, but that fear will just lock onto some other version. It'll just find another story to live on,
Yeah.
to feed on. And you know, this guy was a hippie in the woods who lived on 5 grand a month. He could give two F's for making money, and he ended up being a billionaire. But the real miracle of the story is not the from, you know, rags to billionaire story. The real miracle is that he kept his center the whole time, that he was peace in the storm. He was literally peace in the storm. He wrote The Untethered Soul while going through 6 years of the government trying to put him in jail. I mean, like the government. I
Yeah.
mean, trial after trial. And he wrote that book during that time, which, you know, anyone who's read that book, The Untethered Soul, I mean, that book was like graced.
Yeah.
You know, it's another channeled book. So anyway, I can't speak highly enough about this book. I also really recommend that if anyone listening to this, or you know, I don't know if Ev and Angie, if you guys do the actual book or the audiobook, but there's something, I generally don't like it when authors narrate their books because they usually do a terrible job. And there are a lot of moments where you can tell, like, okay, he's not used to narrating, okay, and it sounds
Yeah.
a little stilted.
Yeah, he's not the greatest narrator of all time.
No, he's
No.
definitely not the greatest narrator. However, it's worth all that for the moments where he gets choked up,
Yeah.
because you can tell he really feels it. In particular, in the first part of this book, probably before he got tired, because narrating is tiring. Uh, but yeah, I recommend also, like if you're sort of like chugging along with the actual print version, to do the audiobook. I don't know, Angie, did you do the audiobook, or are you doing the print version? And Ev?
I've listened to the audiobook many times.
I have only read the print version. Um, but I felt it was a very like good quick read. Like I finished the whole book quickly. I was just very into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's
you know,
amazing, amazing, amazing book. I want to reread it because how you just shared how you read it again years later and changed your life again.
yeah,
So
it really did. I
because it's
mean,
been a while since I finished, so I want to reread it again.
Maybe in
yeah,
rereading it, Angie, you could listen to the audiobook. It is good. It's a good audiobook.
yeah. I
Okay,
mean, I just,
I'll do that.
what it's really done is it's brought this whole other level of sort of cohesiveness to all the things Evan, all the workshops that Evan's been doing for me. It sort of brought a new level of tying them all in together with one another for me. there's just no separation between anything. It's like, you know, a big theme for a lot of people in their, like, for me is when I'm in separation from God, I'm suffering and miserable. When I'm not in separation from God, I am not suffering miserable. But that's also true with like everything. Like everything is connected to everything, which is connected to God. And I just feel like he brought that home for me this time on this whole level that has really blown my mind again. Just when I thought I
Wow.
couldn't have my mind blown again by Michael Singer, he did it again, to the point that I'm like, I want to go to Florida actually and visit his meditation
Mm.
center so I can hear him speak live.
Wow.
Yeah.
He has a lot of YouTube videos up.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're amazing. I mean, hearing him speak on do his speech, his he has a podcast now too. I mean, he's just amazing, this guy.
How you
Hi,
doing?
Delia.
Hi, Adelia.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my
All
two.
right. So let's
What page are we on?
we are on the beginning of chapter 4. I'm not sure what page it is for you.
Okay.
Because I've got
Chapter 4, if you're in the paper book, is 17.
I am on my iPad. So let me see. Chapter 4, no problem.
Delia, I love your bookshelf with your hanging trickling plant that goes down. That's beautiful. Reminds me of a plant my mom had.
Aw.
Yeah, me too.
You said page
Remember how
17, Angie?
yes. That's on the, I don't know if it's the same on the iPad. That's the
What's
paper.
the heading of the chapter? Sorry, guys.
Absolute
Absolute silence.
silence.
Oh, you said that, right? Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so Angie, I think you said you had lots of little things. I'm trying to look and see here in my marking. I don't think I had anything that quickly. So I don't have anything.
Well,
I don't have anything
okay,
until
I
it says
could,
willfully at a certain point. So where do you want to take us?
okay, this section is in page 19, although I know you're not on a paper page. So
How does the
let's see.
paragraph start?
This paragraph starts, this was not the only powerful energy I was experiencing.
Hmm.
So it's kind of on, for me, it's the third page of the chapter.
Okay, hold on. Let's see. I think that's actually I have maybe a couple things before that. Oh, okay. So I've got a couple things before that. So
Okay,
I
go
think
ahead.
it's interesting. So the paragraph starting, but this meditation session was supposed to be different. And a little ways down in that paragraph, it says, I had told myself I wasn't getting up until I had broken through. So I willfully began concentrating anew on the movement of the breath in my belly. So it's interesting. He meditated, he had a good meditation. And then it kind of came to its natural cessation. And then he says, oh, okay, I was done. He said, so then I willfully began concentrating anew, right? So he forced himself to go back in. And I find that to be really interesting. I don't really know what it means. You know, to me, this chapter here is a very like sort of private, sort of like spiritual journey for like one person. And so I relate to a lot of the things that have come out after, but in terms of this, like, I'm going to just sit here until I become awakened or anything like that. I don't have a lot of experience with that. That hasn't been my sort of journey.
I
So,
do. I have experience with that.
yeah. So if you want to speak to that, by all means do.
Um, well, the way I heard that was just, you know, when you said it, so I willfully began concentrating on the movement of my breath. To me, my willfully concentrating on the movement of my breath was using what I use as my like anchor. Some people use the breath as their anchor, and some people use counting as their anchor. But I use the memory of having an experience of my highest self as an anchor. And sometimes it feels like I have to willfully remember it, you know, like push myself to remember. That's
Right.
That's how I heard that. And then also the whole, I mean, there's a little bit of like, damn, of like, I'm going to sit here until I'm enlightened, you know? I've sat many times like that and not had anything happen.
Yeah.
However, I have once sat like that and had something happen. And that's when the 4 centimeter tumor in my neck, you know, vanished in a flash of light. So, but I have tried to repeat
How
that.
big is 4 centimeters?
It's the size of a tangerine.
What?
Yeah.
That was the size of the cyst that they took out of Mandy.
Yeah, it's big. Hmm.
Wow, I thought it was like this. I thought four
I can't
centimeters was
see it
like
right
that.
now.
I thought four
Oh,
centimeters
I
was
see
like
it.
this. So it's
Oh,
like
no.
this.
Oh, it's like a large tangerine. Yeah.
Wow.
So I've had the experience now of being like, you know, so, and I also, it reminds me of certain moments, like when I had a prayer to God where I was like, God damn it, God, like do this. You know, there are certain examples I have, maybe 5 in my life, where I was like, you know, frickin' do this. And the whole of me was behind it. And then things beyond my wildest dreams happened. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's how I hear that moment. Like, I think he was in that kind of moment. And I think everyone, you know, that is into prayer and God and stuff like that, I think all of us have examples in our life where it's just like, God damn it, God, like freaking do this, where then something remarkable happens. So that's how I hear that moment.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I had that moment where it's like, God, give me work I love or kill me. I don't care which.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, it doesn't sound the same to me, but I hear what you're saying. I mean, in
Yeah.
terms of it's like, yeah, I generally don't give God ultimatums, but in that case, it was like, yeah.
Well, and I think it's an important part of that story, Evan, is that I'm sure people have had many moments where they're like, ugh, like kill me if I don't get this. And then they don't get it. But the difference was your intention in that moment. Like it was a real prayer when you
Yeah.
said, like you meant it to the core of your soul. And I think that's the difference. Like it wasn't just a, ugh, kill me. It was literally like you meant it. The weight of,
Yeah, no, I meant it.
yeah,
I
the
meant
weight
it.
of your spirit was behind it. And so my belief is that what he's describing here, the weight of his spirit was behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think you can phone that in because I've
No, you
tried.
can't you can't fake that.
I've tried to phone that in many times and not had success. But when I really, really put the weight of my spirit behind it, it was undeniable, the reactions.
Yeah, and you know, certainly the aftermath of that for me, you know, my whole life changed. Angie, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think that with the tumor in the neck, the 4 centimeters, I mean, instantly gone. That's amazing. Because my experience with that kind of, um, well, for personally, for my like rock bottom, please to God, this or that, or I want to be done, is it's for me, nothing has ever been instantaneous. It's always come later in ways I never thought and appeared in ways I never thought, but I have recognized it. So to me, that's mind
Yeah.
blowing. That instantaneous.
I mean, there was like a flash of light from my heart that went up my chest and out of my neck. And yeah, it changed my life. There's a lot more to that story, but my life was forever changed. Um,
Yeah, so the power, I mean, the power of this energy, and he goes on and he talks about these powerful energies that he's dealing with. It's like we're but scratching the surface. You know what I mean? It's like we're all of us changing our lives in dramatic ways. And I think the changes, you know, just get more and more dramatic. And I think you can see it more clearly. Like as you're talking about your experiences, Natasha, it's like the miracles just get more obvious. Like your story about the book and the publisher and all of that. It's just like, and all the books that just get dumped into your lap that are so in line with where you are now. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. And so this really, if Course in Miracles hadn't already been taken, you know, we could be sort of using that and just be saying like, okay, it's like this is signing up for miracles is what this really is. And it's kind of bizarre. You know, and I think that's why I chose this book is because it's just very in alignment with what we're doing because we're not making this stuff happen. You know what I mean? We're not making it happen. We're surrendering to it so that it can be allowed to happen. So we're really getting out of the way.
Well, and I was about to mention Course in Miracles when you mentioned Course in Miracles, which is to say that one of the main takeaways for me from that book as it relates to this book is, that book says there's no order to miracles. That a small, like making a small miracle happen is the same to God as making a giant miracle happen. It's us that gives miracles hierarchy, but that's not reality. Like to God, a tiny miracle is as easy to do as a giant one. And I don't have no idea why I just went on that tangent. It was related to our book. Now I don't remember, but anyway.
It's okay. I mean, it's fine. One thing that you said at the beginning of the call that I think is really interesting, because right now I'm going through a bit of a storm, you know. I mean, coming home after that sort of, because it's like my life has not looked like that. It's like my life is very drama free. It has been for the last 2 years, and to have all this stuff happening at once. And I tell sponsees this all the time. I go, that's what it takes. That's what it takes to get you pushed your back against the wall. So I recognize this and see it. And even though I recognize and see it from a spiritual plane, it's still the body has to go through it. So what I've been experiencing is overwhelm. And certainly that's what I experienced when it's just like, okay, my wife and I just come home from the hospital and I go to bring the dogs in and one of them's been killed, and I've got to like deal with, I'm like, and they're dealing with his corpse, and it's just like my system, my body felt overwhelmed. You know what I mean? It was just like, what the, it's that thing. It feels like, and I'll just tell it since we're talking about it, since I'm mentioning it, I'll tell you what I saw this morning. Because it's been, as you guys have seen, as you're working with these, it takes a little while. They're there, but it takes a little while to get yourself situated with them. And especially when it's fresh, it's so hard just to be with it that you're just being with this agony. You don't have clarity. You don't know what's really going on. You're a little bit in the dark at the beginning of one of these sort of miraculous journeys. But this morning I had a lot of clarity, and it's like my parents, when I was 3 and 4 years old, they would argue, like they would fight like cats and dogs. My mom and dad, it's just like my mom would throw something, my dad would chase after her. I mean, it was intense. And the feelings that are coming up for me now are those. It's the feelings of I cannot take this. I can't. The first feeling that was coming up this morning is I can't do it. But then it turned into I can't take it. And what I can't take is the intensity and the violence and the hatred. It's like that little kid can't take it. And so even though in my life now, it's like that's not what's there, that's what's getting triggered. And so I'm having to walk through those feelings. And it's just this intense storm. So in the beginning, so it's like here's this guy and he's got all this peace and all that, but still stuff is getting worked out. And he still gets accused of, grand larceny and all this stuff. And he's wrongly accused for 6 years and has to go to trial and spend millions of dollars on legal defense and all that stuff. You know, um, and so it's like there's just always going to be something to walk through, and the ego is always going to have feelings about it, and things. But each one of these, as I've seen, is for our good. It's drudging up something that needs to be seen and gone through, and then, so it's like I've already been through this so many times. To say it's old hat for me, that's not quite, because each time you go through it, there's nothing neutral about it, right? It's intense, but it's like, check back with me in a couple of months on the other side of this, whatever it is. And I'm fairly certain there will be a new level of freedom there. That's not a hope. That's just what I've seen again and again and again. Because if I was hoping for it, now I'd be out of this moment. I'm in this moment, experiencing this feeling of overwhelm, and walking the child through it, sort of, being in alignment with my higher power, holding that child's hand, and so it's like, just because I've gone through 10 of these doesn't mean 10, 15, it doesn't mean I don't have that many more to go,
Because you're,
as do we all.
yeah, you're in a human experience.
Very much. Yeah, exactly. You can't escape the human experience, but you can transcend the human experience, because we are much more than just the human. The body is going to go what it's going to go through, but that is not us. Angie, everything okay? You have a report from the hospital?
Yes, I took the call because Tim's in the shower and couldn't answer the call. It wasn't a doctor or anything. It was about ordering a hospital bed. And so
Okay, great.
no big thing, but wanted to take it just in case.
Yeah, yeah.
I would like to say that I have 30 days today off of caffeine. So I just want you to know this is not coffee. This is herbal tea.
Awesome. Incredible. That's
You are amazing, Natasha.
Thank you.
This is amazing.
Thank
But
you.
What you
look at the
shared,
storm.
the coffee.
Yeah, look at the storm you're going through though with it. You know what I mean? But how beautiful, how wonderful. And we'll all get to watch Natasha. That's the beautiful thing about this. And we'll get to see on the other side what the freedom from all this looks like. The freedom from the torture and the loneliness.
Mhm.
You know, so beautiful. Okay, so I guess we'll get to you there in a sec, Ange. I've got a couple. I had been very far gone in a very deep and peaceful place, but I started to come back. I actually don't know.
Can you put it up on the screen? Like
Oh,
before?
yeah. You can see that? Yeah, okay. So the next thing I have is, do you or do you not want to know what is beyond you? So there's a voice that came to him, and it came to him as a sentence, you know. So I certainly had many things come to me, you know, not as a sentence. I certainly have had spiritual sort of movements and shifts, and then a sentence comes out of it, like one of the deep ones in my life that led me to marrying Mandy and all of that was, you have to let go of what you don't want in order to say yes to what you do want. You know, if you keep holding on to things you don't want, there's no space for, you know. So that was a sort of a sentence or words that have become, you know, foundational for me in my life, but it wasn't a sentence that was spoken to me. I'm trying to think how many I've had that were spoken to me. I think the one that I remember the most, there might be some other ones, but the one that I really remember, and this was a key moment in my life. And it's funny, a lot of the stories I tell from the past, I get to see now that all I was doing the things that we talk about now, but just unconsciously. I had no, I was just lucking into them or tripping into them or, you know, falling apart into them. But, and I've told this story, hopefully not too many times. Hopefully, I don't know how many of you have heard this, but so I was 35 years old. I was 5 years into program, and I was miserably depressed every day. Um, I would wake up and I would cry for like an hour to start my day. That's how I started my day. I started my day miserably depressed, crying at how bad my life was. And you know, it's again 5 years into program, so I was trying to live this spiritual life, and I remember saying to myself, God does not want me lying in bed, depressed and crying. And a voice clear as day came to me and said, "How do you know?" And I was just like, "Whoa." And and so I did what we do here. I don't know if it's the first time that I did it, but I did what we do here is I allowed it. That depression and all that stuff, instead of fighting it, I had been fighting it my whole life. I'd been fighting it, and I let go and I said, okay, let me just feel it. And true to form, what was underneath that blanket, right? The outer, like if we look at the sort of layers of what we call our parts, there's usually 3 layers, right? So the outer layer is the problem. So here I am, it's like I'm depressed all the time. And so then I allowed myself to feel that. And underneath that was an unbelievable maelstrom of terror and rage. Like I could not believe. So we get to see that pattern, right? Here's the depression, which is on top, which seems like the problem, but is not the problem. It is the faux solution. And underneath it, the real issue is all this terror and fear. But I can spend a lot of time trying to solve the depression and never touch this rage and this fear. And so as I started to feel that, I started to heal and my life started to change. You know, but that was the one time I can remember really clearly just hearing a voice that wasn't me. I don't know if it wasn't, you know, God or an angel or who knows what it was, but so I don't know if you guys have experience with that. It seems like Natasha does, for sure.
Yeah, I've heard a voice at least twice where it was life changing for me. The first time was when in New York City, I'd been having premonitions about the building having a fire for months, to the
Oh my
degree
God.
that I had prepared like a little emergency pack. And I went to bed really late, and I had been drinking, which is relevant. Had I been drinking? I think so. Yeah. And so I woke up to something hitting my shoulder, and I heard very distinctly, "Wake up right now." Like literally like boom, "Wake up right now."
Wow.
And sure enough, I got up immediately and I was like, "Oh my God, it's happening." And I started feeling the walls, and sure enough, there was a fire coming through from the apartment below mine where an alcoholic had left a candle burning. And I was able to wake up the whole building, and not one person or animal died in that fire. And it was a 4 alarm fire. There were 150 firemen there. So
Oh my
that
God.
that could have been a really bad situation. But that voice woke me up. And then I heard a voice a second time, and that was when I was having a fight with my German boyfriend Andre, who Evan met. And all of a sudden I heard this voice. I paused and I heard this voice that said, "Why are you getting mad at him? He's got tumors in his brain." And I just knew the voice was right. And sure enough, um, he had multiple sclerosis. And because of hearing that voice then, and also other energy healing work that I did where I could feel lesions in his spine through my fingers, was able to get him to a hospital and get tested. And sure enough, like he had lesions in his brain and um, in his brain and in his spine. So
Wow.
I can't remember if there's another one. There might be, but yeah. Angie, have you had that
Yeah, but
experience, or Delia?
I just have to comment. I mean, you have so many incredible stories, Natasha. I don't know if it's you're just so in tune with your higher power, your body, everything. I mean, these are, since you started talking first thing this morning, it's like one incredible thing after another. I mean, it's like, and I know you said you have written books, but I mean, is this what the books are about? Because something's gotta be done with it.
Angie, thank you for saying that. That's so kind.
Amazing, amazing.
Thank
But I've definitely heard little things, but I've never heard something like he describes. Um, sense of awareness had been centering. I think this is a line Evan shared. Came in a booming voice. I don't think I've ever heard like such a booming voice. Um, like that. No, I've just heard like ideas and little words and little things from my intuition.
Inspirations and stuff.
Inspirations and things like "Don't give up, keep going," or songs. A lot of songs come to me when I wake up in the morning,
Hmm.
like songs of inspiration. Um, so I'm not sure about.
But it's really
I-
interesting, Andrew, to watch you too. And I think everything you said about Natasha is right. It's just like the more we open the doors to all these things, it's like our genius is going to come out, our magic, and it's just like miracles, and stuff. And so it's like Natasha's a young woman. There's plenty there's plenty more magic and light to come, especially I mean the heart of this community is it's like don't hide your light under a bushel, so it's like you have this amazing stuff and a lot of it is kind of hidden under a bushel. I mean, if I had to say, and it always feels terrible to sort of say, but it's like the one sort of through line I see in this community is hiding, hiding, a lot of hiding, you know, from our greatness, so yeah, we all have that we have that to look forward to. We have to look forward to what's going to come out of Natasha's genius, but also you too, Angie. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like you're clearly more and more living life by inspiration. I'm not sure if everybody's aware of your big victory yesterday. Angie wasn't able to be at the 30-day marketing challenge wrap up because
So, um, yeah, I had through my marketing calls, I had an appointment with a lady called Stephanie at the Palms Assisted Living. And you guys, this does not look like an assisted living. This looks like walking into a Marriott timeshare. It's a grand entrance. It's 3 levels. I mean, it is beautiful. The dining room is huge. It's beautiful. There's a piano there. They have their own activity room there. I mean, it's amazing. Okay, so first thing, Stephanie was in a meeting. So first person I met was this lovely gal named Joy. who brings lots of joy to the people by, and she is a sales lady. She's selling Mary Kay, but I'm telling you, she very bright, very joyful. And we're gonna go have coffee and tea because I also am not doing coffee any longer. And then
Oh my God.
because of allergies, I found that I'm allergic to coffee. My face turns bright red and it started happening more and more often
Oh, wow.
to where I could no longer deny it. It would happen occasionally, like every couple times a year. And I guess the allergy got worse, so it started happening every time. So I'm on herbal tea.
Right.
Anyways, so I finally get to meet with Stephanie and I was there. What got me the appointment was scrapbooking because she's the one area I do need is arts and crafts. Okay, so I had, prepared a scrapbook and everything, and she's just like shaking her head like they can't do that. It's, I thought it was a pretty simple one, and I was telling her, okay, like I'm gonna like pre-punch the circles and the squares, so that they're just gluing, and she's still like, and even like she's like, and my budget for printing out pictures for them to scrapbook, she's like, no. But I had two other things prepared, which was great, which was the single bingo. And I had a bingo sheet with songs from the 1950s printed out. And
Oh,
well, take a look at this. And she's like, amazing. She's like, they're gonna love this. And so June 13th at 2 p.m., I am going to lead the single bingo.
that's Austin's birthday.
So, oh, yeah, that's right. And then so 50s and 40s music, which I don't, so I have to, which is good because I couldn't find a pre-made song sheet on the 40s, so I get to create one.
Yeah.
So that's good. So I'm excited about that. And also I showed her recycled greeting cards made anew from recycled greeting cards. And I presented it two ways. Like they can make them and keep them to give out to people, or we could do this as charity, sell them for $1 and the money raised is given to charity. So could two good ways to do it. And so um again, she's like, as much as you could pre-do for them. So they're literally just taking a glue stick and gluing. And I'm like, okay, great. I can do that. You can trust me. I'm very organized. So that's going to be another event we're going to schedule. And as it turns out, she's like, the gal I have, the arts and crafts gal I have is leaving for maternity leave. Not sure she's coming back. And that's the issue I have with her is that she doesn't do enough prep work for the seniors because of their dexterity.
Oh my God, did she luck into the perfect person? Angie
Yeah,
doing the prep work. Are you kidding me?
so I'm like, I'm very organized. I understand what you're saying, you know, let's go. And she's like, there's a possible paid position, because of that gal's leaving. Now, I don't think as a assistant, there's a lot of money, but I want the experience. And it's a beautiful place. And I just really think it is a drive, which is a little bit closer, just a little bit closer than my current job. But the building, you guys, when I went in, because I kind of have, although I really am into the senior thing, I really want to avoid state homes
Oh, of course.
because I don't want to be depressed while I'm trying to bring people up.
No, 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 no. Yeah.
So when I walked into this building, you guys, it was like, it was like a choir was singing. It was like, I was like, this is the most beautiful. I mean, like, I want to live here.
Yeah, and
So,
it's like whatever comes through, Angie, whatever comes through that, it's always reflecting where you're at. So the key is just to always be moving forward and always be making progress. I mean, this is just so huge. And again, I mean, you're sort of proving the point of all this. It's like you've shown up and you've done it, and it's like stuff happens and energy moves. And this has been a big block in your life for so long. So the key is just for you to keep going and keep doing. And there'll probably be other opportunities. But the notion that, she didn't like see your stuff initially and say, oh, I have an arts and crafts person leaving. You got your foot in the door. She's now going to get to see you run a group, and she's going to see you when you come there. You are going to be so prepared. She's going to be like, I don't have this. And it's like, you're the front runner for the job right now. You just are, and you just keep going.
Yeah, and the other thing that was interesting, I'm like, I had like I was ready to give like, my email, my phone number, my ID, because like even senior centers want you to fill out a volunteer form. I was ready for background check just to be a volunteer. And I'm like, hey, you need my ID. There's a form you want me to fill out. She goes, no, I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that with you.
You see what I
Because
mean?
when you have the energy, when you have the good energy, people know. And
Yeah.
she's like, and why do you want to do this? And I explained, that I'm off work because of my foot. And I started questioning, with my higher power, what is my purpose? And this is what came out of that. And I explained that during COVID, that I lost my mom, my dad, my aunt. And during those 4 years, or well, 2018 to 2022, during that time, I saw a lot of homes, a lot of assisted living, a lot of rehabs, a lot of hospitals, and I wanted to be able to bring, care and comfort and value to these people in those settings. And she saw me, she got it.
I'm covered in chills head to toe, Angie.
I'm in tears over here.
I'm like literally
Well,
like,
I did tear up with her a little bit. I said, I'm sorry, I'm tearing up. And I was like, even like right now, I'm shaking. Because just the energy is so intense of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really fantastic, Angie. So, but I mean, again, I mean, it's very much in alignment with this book. I mean, this book is about these sort of miracles and sort of surrendering and letting go of our old stuff. I mean, it really is. So, I mean, that's just a beautiful story. And thank you for sharing that with us.
amazing.
Thank you for, well, it's happening because of the things, you taught me. You you taught
Mazel
us,
tov.
Thank you.
Yeah, but the thing is I say a lot of the same things to a lot of people, and it's just, but it's like, if you do it, it will work. That's the thing. If you do it, it will work. So you have to get people to the point where they see it enough to understand to do it. That's the
Right.
thing.
I know we keep saying it, but consistency is the key.
It is absolutely the key.
Because if I have been consistent, I wouldn't have called, I wouldn't have followed up, I wouldn't have had it in my calendar, I wouldn't have remembered to go, I would have flicked on the meeting, I would have talked myself out of the meeting. Oh, it's gonna hurt your foot to drive, and it's a far drive, and this and that. No, there were no hesitations, there were no questions. This is my appointment today. I am ready early, I am leaving early, and I am prepared, and there is no hesitation, there is no question at all. There was none of that. There was
Yeah.
no internal battle at all.
That's right, because you've been dealing with the internal battles on a daily basis. You've been walking through and you've been practicing showing up, and that is how you change your energy. That is a textbook example of how you shift your energy from lack and smallness into a larger world of abundance. That's it right there. I mean, you just demonstrated it. So great job. And Adelia, you're experiencing, from doing your walking every day, you're experiencing that momentum and that consistency, right? And so
Yeah, I actually wanted to put in a plug for those of us who are much slower in this process.
But the pace doesn't matter. As Angie said, the consistency matters. It's not.
Right. But
Yeah.
consistency also, a definition of consistency is to keep doing it. Not, I mean, I feel like I'm, relative to you all y'all, slower. Yes. And consistent, yes, but in a slower way, because that's the way I am. That's the way it is. And more than that, because I have so much fear and so many voices and so many things that keep taking me off my path and distracting me.
Yeah.
So many, for so many directions. And, I mean, it's a Jewish holiday tonight too, by the way. I mean, my brother's arriving tonight. I mean, there's lots of stuff all over the place. all the time. So yeah, so to do it consistently, even that little thing is actually going like against this current that keeps pulling me away. And after I keep doing that little thing, and again, keep doing the little thing.
Right.
But
That's
it
why we
does
start
work.
with a
I know
little
it
thing.
works. I'm listening to all of you. I know it works. I know it works in my life. I know it. But I do want to bring up another thing, and that is, I mean, I've seen God act in my life many times. I live in the center of the universe here in Jerusalem. Let me just tell you, things happen all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's fear. I don't know what it is. I can't just let go and let him. I want to. I very much want to, but I have to do it in small doses. It's so fast and intense and powerful that I like, I have to, like you're saying, I didn't know about your dog. I didn't know you went through all those things. I have not been able to keep up with all the what's going on in school. So I'm sorry I didn't know.
I haven't shared it with everybody. I'll share it today. I'll share some of the stories today. I'm going to do an update on Mandy. I'm going to do an update on Rocky.
So what I want to say is that what you explained that about going through it, and only when you go through it, it's one thing to understand something intellectually, another thing to actually go through it. And most of my life, I've just been protecting myself from going through anything.
Yeah.
So I don't feel anything because I'm afraid of everything.
Yeah.
So, just these little openings are big for me, very
For
big.
sure.
Everything is big. So I have to go slowly because it's all scary.
It's okay. It's okay to go slowly. Nobody's judging you for going slowly. It's okay.
Right. But I do feel like things are changing. I do feel it for
Yeah.
sure. No question.
100%. Yeah, they will. They will. They have to.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, so great job. Great job. I mean, it's
And thank you for keeping the momentum going and saying the same things over and over again, because it just helps, even though I have to hear it many, many times until I'm like, oh, right.
We all do. I'm trying to, there's this thing where they say, like, most people, when they get a ticket, like, a traffic ticket, they have broken the law 400 times, but from their last ticket, right? And so it's kind of the same way with this stuff. It's just like you hear it, and then one day it clicks, and I mean, how many times have we heard it? And then you just hear it one way, and you go, oh, I get it now. And that's what we're looking for, that get it now, get it in your body. So we have to say it a bunch of times. And everybody's going to get it when they're going to get it. It's like there are things from the Bible where it's like one day, something I've heard my whole life where I go, I finally understand what that actually means. It's not just theory anymore. I live that. You know what I mean? I understand that. So
May I say something in response to Odelia when you're done?
Yeah, of course.
I just want to say that my perception, and of also part of your journey, Odelia, is that your whole life, like, it was almost like the environment around you made your purpose about everyone else but you. And
sure.
so you even taking time to be on this call and be present and sitting here with your camera on and listening, like, it's just that alone is huge, because it's like standing for yourself. And so my experience of you and this whole thing has been very much that for you, this journey is very much about taking a stand for the fact that putting focus on you, it matters, that you deserve it. Like, you deserve to get to have workshops for you. You deserve to sit on the camera and for you. And that for you, it's about very much like giving visibility to the child in you that had to make her life about serving the needs of all those around her.
That feels right. Yep. Thank you.
Wonderful. I love it. Okay, so I'm just a quick thing, and then we'll get to Angie's, and then we'll have to wrap up for today. But I felt pain in my legs, but they were very far away, and the pain had a warmth and a beauty to it. I don't know if you've experienced this, Natasha, but I've definitely, my relation, as I bring spirit to physical pain, I definitely notice a change. The ego views physical pain as this kind of torture, and it's trying to fight it and get away from it. And spirit, once you start to really look at pain, most pain that we have is exaggerated by our minds. And when you get into the actual experience of the pain itself, it's not actually even pain. It feels a little bit more like a massage, most of it, to be honest. And so I really related to this notion of when you get out of the story of the pain, how dramatically different the actual physical sensations are. And you notice whenever we do a meditation in here, I'm always getting people into their body. What is the actual experience of this? And then when you start to do that, you start to go deeper into it, and you say a burning, and you start to go into, let's say, a burning, and you realize that from a physiological standpoint, from an emotional standpoint, it feels like a burning, but from a physiological standpoint, it doesn't. It actually can feel quite good. And there are definitely many times where I'm down here in this terrible thing, and I realize this actually physically feels great. And it's good to sort of feel that and know that, because you realize you're on the right path. So anyway, that was just a small little tidbit that I wanted to point out. So this next section, I just want to read this and touch on it, because I haven't had this experience. Something very solid was resisting even the slightest movement of my head forward. I immediately realized that the sheer intensity of my concentration had created a well-defined force that flowed outward from my forehead and curved back to the point in my lower abdomen where I had been concentrating. I know this must sound strange, but it felt like a magnetic field that was so strong I simply could not move against it. I just pointed that out because I have not had an experience like that. And two things I want to say about that. It's like everybody's going to have different experiences, so it doesn't matter. And two, you're going to go on to see in this book that he has a lot of growth left to do. So here he has this experience that seems like such an opening, and yet you'll come back. There's still plenty of stuff there, still plenty of opinions and ego and stuff that remain in him. So we can have these big spiritual experiences, but I think it's dangerous. We can never really fall under the impression that it's all sorted out for us now. Because when you have that idea of like, oh, now I'm enlightened and I've got it all together, that's usually the ego saying that. You know what I mean? So it's like so you have to always be, sort of careful and watchful for the ego saying, yes, I've got it now. And I don't know if anybody's seen this, but I watched this one HBO show called The Vow. And it was really interesting to watch. There was this guy, and he was clearly he had a lot of enlightened things, but he had some very strange stuff in one aspect of his life, more on the sex tip. And so it was such a good explanation, a good thing to see. It's like, here's somebody who clearly was living on a different plane, and yet there was still an aspect, still parts of him that were lost, and he couldn't see it because whatever parts in him that were still trapped, there was a part in there that was protecting that. So I find it very interesting, and there's all sorts of things that one can do that don't equal freedom. Like you can learn to bend a mind with your spoon, bend a spoon with your mind, and you can, some people say you can levitate and all that. Yeah, we've talked, I think, in this group or at other times about like out of body experiences. Those things don't really equal freedom necessarily. They're interesting experiences, right? So just to sort of highlight here, it's like a deep spiritual experience is going to have an impact. It's going to loosen the foundation, but it doesn't necessarily equal the whole deal. And so, my perspective on this is it's almost for sure that we'll never get there. We'll never be 100% there. That, like we said at the beginning of the call, there's always going to be an aspect of humanness to our story. And as we get more and more deep into our spirit, we just want to be aware and available for that humanness to come out and to be released and to evolve. Okay, well, I mistimed that. So Natasha, I think you wanted to say something about that.
No, that's really amazing what you just said. And, as somebody who has experienced 6 months of bliss and who has experienced what he described, like that spine thing that you're like, I've never experienced that. I've experienced that countless times.
Right.
And not in recent years. Okay. And the 6 months of bliss ended and I was shattered. And that's when I met you, Evan.
Right.
Okay. I met you and that bliss was, I was shattered on the rocks from it ended.
Right. And we talked about this a month ago. It's almost like that was a preview of kind of where you're going. And everything that's come up since has been the stuff that's in the way of what is already there.
Yeah.
And you've been working on it and clearing it out. So that
for years,
for like 12 years.
For 12 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think it's like, that's where you'll go. That's where you're headed. You're headed there. That's what's in you to express. and and we're letting go of the stuff that's in the way. Okay, well, Angie, we didn't even get to the beginning part you have, but I think we're right there. So it's like when we come back.
Yeah, well, I could just kind of do it real quickly because the next section I was going to talk about talks about another one of those force fields.
I think
And that
I
he
think
could
save it
use-
and let's start with that next time. Because it's 9:57. I don't want to try to squeeze it in. So I'm putting a
Okay.
bookmark on the second time the voice
Okay.
speaks and says, do
Okay.
you or do you not? So that's where we can kind of pause.
Wait, where?
On the second time the voice says, do you or do you not want to know what is beyond you? So we can pick
Oh,
up that
okay.
next time.
Okay.
Okay.
Mine was right before that,
Oh, right before. Okay, then we'll start there.
Good
where it
job,
says
Angie.
this was not the only powerful energy right there.
Perfect. I'm going to mark this right here in pink for Angie.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, great. And then
Thank you, everybody. That's some awesome
Thank
shares.
You. It's great.
Thank you. That
Wow.
was amazing.
Wow.
Congrats, Angie.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
congrats, Angie. And make sure you do a big separate post about that. I mean, you want to share that story with everybody. You might even want to do it as a little video or something, just to tell the story. I think you should. Because not that many
Video
people are going to
of-
see. What's that?
video
Of just
of
the
just
story of you
myself.
going in for the interview and just everything you told us. Just
Okay.
I'd do it on your iPhone and then just share it as a video. So you don't have to write all that.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
But it's like, I mean, again, it's like there are people who need to know that, like, okay, I did this. I showed up every day for 30 days and look at these kind of results. Like Raj got signed by an agent, which is one of his goals of doing this. It's like he needs to, nobody even knows.
He got signed by an agent when?
Wow.
A couple days ago.
I can't believe he hasn't
Oh,
told
he
me.
got signed he got signed as a director at a house. Yeah, I mean that's what he wanted to do. That's what we're shooting for. And the story, it still continues. He's still doing a 90 and 90. Angie, you're still going, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, Shayna had said that because she thought she had, stopped in the middle, so then she was going to start from the beginning. And I told her, why do you have to start from the beginning? Why can't you just continue where you left off? And I don't
Right,
know. You have
right.
to think about
That sounds good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not make it punishing.
Yeah, I mean, like I remember having to count my food days all the time, going back to, square one, and it was completely devastating, actually.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
All right. I got to run.
Bye,
I got
guys. I love you.
Thank you. Great
Bye,
job,
everybody.
everybody.
Love
Great
you.
seeing
Love you. Bye.
Bye.